are green. All right. Hey guys, it's me, Froggy, here to talk about treasure hunting. So to start off, we've got a little bit of a safety section. I want to cover some safety stuff, and then we'll go into the next chapter in the series of Beyond the Map's Edge, which will be called the sleep study, the next story, right? And then at the end, depending on how much time we have left, I might do a little bit of where I'm at currently in the solve that I'm at. All right, so first off, safety is very important, and I do regret my actions. Looking back, I may have said some things that in the heat of the moment that gave the impression that I wasn't taking some stuff seriously. So I do apologize for that. Safety is first, and I'll do better about not letting myself get caught up in the emotion of a friendly back and forth in a conversation. So to that end, I really want to take the time to dedicate several minutes, several discussions. Hey, what's going on? Dragon Lady Will and Felicia Scott. You guys all came in like the same time. It's interesting it went 1-3-2 instead of 1-2-3. It's interesting. Diana W, how you doing? Okay, so we're gonna talk about safety for a little bit. So to start off, where I'm coming from and a little bit more about myself is I'm not an expert. I don't hold like college degrees in safety or environmental or outdoor stuff. My full accreditation is just like I was a wilderness first responder, woofer, and I think that has like expired since then. And I was CPR certified when I was younger, but that's probably expired as well. But I have operated and been active in pretty much both extremes. I've been in the Mojave Desert, I've been in the Sahara Desert, so two of the hottest deserts here on Earth, and I've been active in them, not just like driving through them, not just like drinking a cocktail on the side of the road. I've also been in the Amazon, so it's another high humidity area that will drain your energy and your very life force to in a different way. I've also been to Everest, so not the top of Everest. Everest Base Camp is always got to make a clear distinction in that. I don't want anyone going around saying Froggy says he climbed Everest because that's way beyond my level. But I've been to Base Camp, which is super high. I got a picture somewhere where they show the elevation in meters, so you got to do a little bit of math to convert that to feet. But so I've been in pretty much both extremes, and so I'm a little bit knowledgeable. But sometimes you forget stuff, and sometimes I have a hard time relating to the base level. There's knowledge that I assume is common that everyone has, and quickly was informed that not everyone has that level of knowledge. So this is just my small attempt to kind of spread a little bit of knowledge and general safety, right? Best practices. One of the big things is, and this is hammered into the community time and time again about things look different boots on the ground than they do on a map on a computer, right? I think anyone who's been boots on the ground can relate to that. You look at a map and your mind builds a puzzle of what it should look like. And then you go to that location and it looks a little different than the way you imagined it, right? I think we can all relate to that kind of difference. Well, the same things with temperature, right? So if you're living in a climate and you're not really used to temperatures outside that climate, let's just use an example. Let's say I live in an area that goes between, it gets to freezing in the wintertime and it gets to like, 90s in the summertime. And you're at a nice temperate, climate. Okay, I'm used to that. So I know what those numbers look like on a map, freezing around 30, 32 and high 90s. And you know what your humidity's like. So you're going to go to another location, you look at the numbers, okay, the weather's going to be, 98 for that area. Okay, well, I know what 90 feels like. Let me just mentally add 8. All right? And then you build a kind of mental map for what it should feel like. And then you go there and it's going to be different because you've never been to that area before, right? As humans, we only know what we experience. And it's really hard to mentally prepare yourself or visualize what the situation's like if you've never experienced it, if you've only learned it, right? Let's look at the chat real quick because a lot of stuff popped up. No, yes, maybe. How you doing? Froggy, good morning. What's up, Sneaky? How you doing? BH, welcome. Godelkin, howdy. The great Godelkin. Felicia Scott. Hey, I missed you, Frog. Balloon chance. Well, hey, next, I'll try to remember to keep balloons on me at all times. So if there's ever another event, you can have a frog, or maybe I'll learn how to get the monkey down. The monkey's my nemesis, so maybe I'll learn how to do that one. Embrace the fleeting moments. How you doing? Welcome. Cerulean Clouds. I know that's art. Every Marine is a safety officer. That's right. Hey, good job. Bonham Carter. Howdy. That's impressive. Hello. Froggy walks around with naked feet. That's true. They're naked right now. Sounds like Chicago. Hello, Froggy. First. Yes, Rob Zero first. Mine popped. Aw. Well, it lasted a short life. Okay. I'm curious if anybody's has theirs still up. Okay. Going back to safety. Going back to so I grew up playing sports in a Maryland summer, right? So if you grew up playing football in Maryland, it's different from football in Texas because Texas, 2 days are brutal. They're legendary. People die all the time, and there's like documentaries on them, right? So Maryland 2 days a little bit more temperate, but they ease you into it, right? So I never realized at the time what they were doing, but they're easing the normal person, right? Normal. Let's say you work at a 9 to 5. You got an office job. You drink your coffee in the morning. You got a soda for lunch and dinner. Maybe you drink a glass of water or two throughout the day, right? It's hard to go from that to just chugging a liter of water every hour. And a liter of water every hour is the recommended hydration level you should be at for operating, for walking, for hiking in a desert hot environment, right? So it's really tough to go from just normal liquid consumption to boom, a liter of water every hour. And I never realized it in high school that they would gradually train us to do that, right? The forced water breaks. They have the big orange Gatorade coolers, right? You see them at construction sites. You see them at sports areas. And they stop. Okay, everybody, take off your helmet, go drink, whatever. And then we slowly acclimated, right? You do your warm ups. This is sports ball talk, so I apologize for anybody who's not a sports ball fan. You do it through it in just shorts and a t-shirt. Then you get pads on. Then you slowly work up to full gear, right? Well, so the military doesn't give you that nice little acclimatization period, right? You kind of just like going into boot camp, and then they need to get everybody to the hydration levels they need to really quick. So they're just like forcing water down your face, right? And so I realized at the time that it takes a while to get to that level, right? And so all that story is to say that in my normal life, I try to be healthy. I don't always do the best job, so I maybe drink, let's see, in the morning I try to drink a glass of water, right, first thing in the morning, and then maybe a bottle or two throughout the day. If it's hotter, maybe 3 bottles. But that's really far under a liter of water every hour in a hot environment. So I go from that to I know I'm going to be in Arizona, and I know I know I'm going to be a little bit at elevation, so it's not quite the Sonoran Desert, right? It's a little bit higher, and I know that gotta drink a liter of water every hour, right? Maybe even more because I'm kind of a bigger guy, right? And I plan to carry a little bit more weight. So drink the night before, right? That's always a pro tip. Don't start hydrating. If you start hydrating, like when you start sweating, you're gonna be in for a bad time. It's just not gonna work. You got the night before, right? Preferably a couple days before. So drinking water the night before, the day before, and we get out there, and I know to avoid the hot hours, right? In my mind, the hot hours, I kind of go from like 11 to 2 is like the no hike zone, right? But internet advice, general safety advice is from 10 to 3. So 10 to 3 is kind of the peak, the heat. You kind of want to avoid hiking during those hours if you're going to be in the desert. And so, we avoided those hours, and then we got down and we were drinking water, and I quickly realized like 2 or 3 hours into it that I'm not drinking enough water. I don't feel bad, right? I'm still sweating, right? When you stop sweating, that's bad. But I know, like mentally, I'm like, I should be drinking more water than I am. So talking with my dad, he's kind of the same way. We realized, hey, you know what? It's tough just to get the raw water in because we were just drinking like smart water, and we had a gallon of water as backup, and we had water in the car. So we definitely brought enough with us. The problem wasn't that we didn't bring enough. The problem was that we're not drinking enough because it's just tough to force yourself to chug that much water. So we supplemented that with some sports drinks. They're a little bit easier to get down sometime. Nothing beats like water for hydration, but sports drinks better than not drinking water, right? And so the next day we were fine. Again, we avoided the peak hours, but that's just something to do if you're not used to hiking out there. And if you're not used to drinking the amount of water you should, ideally it's best to practice that. So if you have a desert solve, or if you're going to go boots on the ground, try a couple weeks before to start increasing your water intake just to get your body used to drinking and processing and handling that much water. Yes, it's going to be inconvenient. Yes, you're going to pee a lot, right? We hear people say, "Oh, I don't want to drink a lot of water before bed because then I got to get up and pee." All right, well, it's better to have that problem, having to pee a lot, than passing out in the desert, right? If you're going to have 2 problems, it's better to have that problem, right? So It's just something that you're gonna have to deal with. It's something that's the price you got to pay to be able to work and operate and think in that environment, right? So this is another thing. We're running a high mental exercise while we're out there, right? We're not a normal hiker hiking to take a picture and come back, right? You're having to think critically and run a lot of processes in your brain, right? So you want your mind as sharp as possible, which is not going to happen if you're dying of thirst and you're just forcing yourself to get from A to B. So again, for your own sake, for your own safety, practice drinking that amount of water, practice being that hydrated. Yes, it's going to be convenient. Yes, you're going to pee a lot, but it's better than the alternative, right? So let me go back to chat, see what we got going on. What's around? Let's see. Do I ship balloon animals? Oh, I don't know how that would work. I can ship like the instructions and then the balloon, and then you have to do it yourself. What's up, Randy? How you doing? I wish I was the Michelangelo balloon animals, right? So Justin has his hobbies of woodworking and like anodizing metal and stuff, right? So I got balloon animals. Rose, can you sideways? What's going on? Whoa! Pause. Rose. Google Life. Google Life. Curious what that means. You look like Felix. I keep getting Felix. I keep every time I see Felix, I'm like, I gotta look up what this Felix kid looks like. Let's see. So true. Check out Temple of Zeus organization. Oh, that's cool. Reality. Special state aware mismatched socks. Uno vibes. Water is life. Number one. Is it drink? Yep. Gotta drink your water. Hydrate. What's the new sister company? Oh, yo, weapons. Yeah. 224. What's up, man? Relax and Maximum. Good to see you. 81 mortars. Good time. Semper Fi. Look at that. Be prepared to be called out soon. Got some questions. Exciting. Being called out soon. Can't wait. Can you give my sister a shout out? Faith and Hope. Faith and Hope, what's going on? Welcome. Glad you guys watching the show. You going to do it? I'll send you a gift if you do. Figure collective. Okay. All right. Going back up. Okay. Water and heat. Okay. So yeah. So you're gonna be operating at a high level, right? You don't want to. Most hikers have a I need to get to here, right? Hey, we're gonna go to this viewpoint. We want to get to the top of this mountain. We want to do this hike, and so they're not really concerned with analyzing and looking for clues while we're doing it, right? We're a couple times during the trail, me and my dad would stop and look at each other and say, "Hey, were you really paying attention the last like 100 feet?" Like, no, I'm just trying to get down to shade. Yeah, so we had to that was a mental check for us, right? Don't just go out there and survive, get to a check, which this leads nicely into a segue of loops versus down and backs, right? So if you don't know this or haven't thought about it, loops versus down and backs. When you're planning out your route, down and backs are generally safer because with a loop is a lot of unknowns, right? So when you're packing your water, you're packing your snacks, packing whatever, you kind of have X amount and then you know what half, right? So it's not that complicated, right? You have this much water, you know what half of that much is, right? So when you get to half, that's your mandatory go back, full alarms, you have to stop point, right? And ideally, I like to operate with a little bit of cushion, so I'll do kind of operate on a third, or maybe 2/5 would probably be if you're trying to get more exact. But that's, right? So you don't want to go past that because you've used that much water to get there. So if you use less water to get back, you're going to be in trouble, right? So the problem with a loop is that you don't know what awaits you. We all know that it's different reality on the ground than in the map and playing it. So if you're doing a loop, you get to halfway down the loop. Okay, this is my halfway. Okay, now I got to go back. You don't know what the rest of that loop's going to look like. You don't know what weather has done to the trail. You don't know what challenges await you, right? So for a loop, you got to plan more like a third, right? Halfway through the loop, you should be kind of like a third way through your water because you don't know what the rest of the loop is going to be like. With a down and back, you know because you've traveled it, right? It's not always going to be the same because you're going a different way. Uphill is different than downhill, right? Different muscles are worked. You're going to be tired. So but that's like the very minimum drop dead time. If any boaters are in here, I know we got some boaters. There's a formula or a recommendation. I think it might be around a third. You never want to go like, okay, if I have this much fuel, I can go out. That's half, and then go back. That's like a recipe for disaster. So I don't know that much about boating, so I'm not gonna speak on it. I just know that there is something like that. If there's a boater in the chat and they want to drop whatever that knowledge is, off memory, I want to say it's a third. But I don't know. Let's go back to the chat real quick. What is life consume? Yeah, you got to. You really got to. Prepare to call. What's your favorite memory? Okay. Favorite memory. I just want to finish the safety thing, and I'll go back to the favorite memory. So keep that in my mind. Favorite memory. Teddy Pace. Yeah. Pace is another thing because remember, we like treasure hunters. I'm saying that's the we, right? We're not doing the hike just for the hike. We're not doing the hike just for the views. We're trying to find something, right? And everyone has their own opinion on what you're trying to find: checkpoint, checksum, clues, arcs, boxes, whatever. But if we're looking for something, right, which takes more mental focus, more power than just walking from A to B. We're walking from A to B and we're trying to find something, right? So you really can't afford. You're hurting yourself, right? Just because you can muscle through something or endure it, you're not operating at peak, and you want to be operating at peak. So you want to take it slow, be plenty hydrated. One observation I can share, if because again I flew into Phoenix, so I saw a lot of the road from Phoenix to Prescott. There's no shade like out there. Like as soon as you left the Phoenix area, start driving up, like the Sonoran Desert, like the highest shade is like a scrub bush. I don't know, 3 feet tall, or you might have a cactus. So if your idea of shade is leaning up against a saguaro, then I guess that's technically shade maybe, but there's no shade. So there's nowhere to hide from the sun, right? Which in my mind rules out a lot of things because the way I'm picturing the final location, you need a lot of cover. You need cover from the road. You need cover from eyes, cover to hide stuff. So yeah, for my solve and my stuff for right now, a lot of the southern Arizona is just kind of off. I mean, that's a good safety practice, but just kind of off. Yeah, salty snacks, not just snacks, salty snacks, right? Snacks to hold the water in, right, and to help you get those vitamins and minerals. Because when you're sweating all of it out. All right, so that's kind of my little tidbit, little message there. 17 minutes of safety, please. And everyone has their like temperature whether it's just not safe to go out, and that's different for everybody. I think the recommended is pretty much like if you're not experienced, don't when it's in the 90s is like danger, right? So and that'll fluctuate with humidity, right? If you don't know anything about it, it's humidity will suck the water out of your body even more, and there's a whole like I don't know that much about wet bulb phenomenon, so I don't want to talk about what I don't know, but it's dangerous. But I know the high humidity can be worse sometimes because it'll suck the water out of you, and that's what you really need. You want water inside of you, not outside of you. All right. But yeah, once it gets above 100, that's probably my area of I know I can do it, but I wouldn't be mentally sharp, so it'd be a waste of a trip. So anything over 100 for me is probably a just no go. Just gotta wait till the weather's better. An average recommended safely is probably in the 90s. Again, not saying that you can't do it. I'm saying that you're gonna miss something, right? You're gonna be so focused on just surviving and staying hydrated and healthy that you're gonna miss whatever's out there that we're supposed to find, right? So, and maybe when it gets more close to wintertime, I'll do a winter one. I'm prepped for the summer, so I did a lot of research on heat and hydration and stuff like that. I'm not really as prepped for the cold. I just remember the one tip I liked about my cold weather training was to eat before you go to bed. So if you're like dieting and stuff, you're not supposed to eat before you go to bed, right? You kind of stop eating a couple hours before. But if you're surviving, not dieting, you want your body to be like working and breaking stuff down. So they would always tell us to like, not a massive meal, right? Just eat something. I think one of the recommended things, and I don't know, maybe my trainer just liked chocolate, but like gave us like a little bit of chocolate before bed, so that your body was like burning something over the night and working to process it down, which generates a little bit of heat. Okay, so let's go back. I know. Hey, what's up, mom? Yeah, safety class. Safety first. My mom was big on safety. She was really worried. Want to make sure. My dad was probably more acclimatized than I was because my dad's a huge golfer and he lives in Austin, Texas, hot. So he's always out there golfing. So he was probably more used to the heat than I was. But we definitely and liquid IV is a great recovery. All right, so let's go back. I know Randy would ask about my favorite moment. My favorite moment down there was, so we stopped at like a rest stop. I don't know, maybe like an hour outside Phoenix, and just to take some photos, just to look around. Even though I've so the Sonoran Desert in Arizona is really unique with the saguaros, and I've done a lot of reading about saguaros. And I'm probably saying it wrong because they appear a couple times in the book, right? And so I wanted to like put to rest: is this something that's like physical location clue related, or is it like allegorical, metaphorical, or just some other thing for it? And so I think I put it to rest in my mind that the treasure's not actually out in an area surrounded by saguaros. It's just that's right up there. That on me, that's like I'd probably put that above grizzly level in like personal danger level, just because. And even though you're like, okay, well, it's, how do you get lost? You can't get lost. It's flat. There's ridges, and everything looks the same, right? So you're not gonna be able to pick that cactus from that cactus, and there's no shade. Yeah. So I would just, yeah, for me, but going out there and seeing that, right? It was a whole new territory. Seeing, yeah, I really like seeing that area outside Phoenix. I've haven't really been that much in the American Southwest, like so seeing that was new for me. I always like to see new areas. Right, I traveled a lot when I was younger, not as much now, but still, probably seeing that new location and being able to share that with my dad was really cool. So that was one of my favorite memories. Yeah, Suzanne. Yeah, once you're out there, yeah. Um, this is just, I guess, dark humor. We used to joke around. So one of the things they would say is you always need to be sweating. If you stop sweating, that's kind of like a bad sign. You get more liquids in you. And so when we were in the military, the doc would go around and check on you, say, "Hey, you doing okay? You feel dizzy? You feel lightheaded? No, no." Because some guys, one of the early signs of like heat exhaustion or heat stroke would be like a headache, and they'd be like, "Well, I drank the night before, bad," or I haven't had my cigarette, bad, or maybe it's just nothing, and so they attribute the headache to something else when it's really like you're just brain getting fried. But one of the things we used to do is tell them, the doctors would be, "Hey, you doing okay?" Like, "Yeah," he's like, "Are you sweating?" He's like, "Well, I don't know, I stopped sweating a couple hours ago, but it's no big deal now." That's like a big trigger, and so it was fun to mess with them, but it's probably not that safe to mess with them like that. I say base, okay. Let's see where we go. Snacks, electrolytes, bananas. Gotta get bananas. Yeah, potassium, good. Not man every weekend. I'm trying though. Hey, yeah, spending time with the family. That's like one of the best treasures, and I did come away with this, with no physical treasure, but the memories made with my dad, especially if your parents are getting a little bit, older. We can't take life for granted, right? We don't know what tomorrow holds, so enjoy those memories while you can. All right, we're gonna be moving on to the sleep study section next. Get it done in the morning. Yeah, best to get it done. Like I said, the recommended no hiking hours are from 10 to 3. I operate on 11 to 2, but yeah, you definitely don't want to be operating in those hours. Let's go. Let's have to go. I believe it's real. Called White People Game. I can see him saying that. Gino, what's up, man? Yeah. Oh, yeah. I was surprised by how much my feet sweat. Yeah. I was like, I changed the first day we were out there because we did 2 sessions. I changed our socks halfway through, and they were like soaked. Um, yeah. So yeah. I don't know if that's just my feet or that's just the sweat running down your body and collecting in your boots. But yeah, you can never bring too many socks. Hooli, what's going on? Hooli, whoop whoop. There's more than drinking water. Food's food. Yep. Gotta get that in you. Dang, just noticed you were on. Okay. Do you geocache me? Do I? No, I do not geocache. No. I'll look and see what geocaches are in the area, but I won't. I'm not like actively searching them out. I have a hard enough time searching for one thing. I don't want to try to search for other things while I'm searching for just one thing. All right, let's get into the book. The sleep study. That's where we're at. So we just finished a nice Forrest Fenn chapter, right? The Curious Confluence. Point out a few things. So now let's get into the sleep study. All right. So one of the first things I had to look up was third paragraph down. It talks about Jenny with a marital semaphore, right? And so I try to, when I'm like in hunt mode, I try to consume material related, at least tangentially, at least in some way, to treasure hunting. Whether it's watching Indiana Jones movies, whether it's maybe watching movies about the Old West, right? Whether it's reading books about conquistadors, something kind of tangentially related. After my solve, I wanted to give myself some time to regroup, so I watched a couple movies that had nothing to do with treasure hunting. I read a few books that had nothing to do with what I thought. But one of the books I read was called Wager. If you're familiar with the Killer Flowers of the Moon, Killer of the Flower Moon, Moonflowers, Killer Moon. I forget the name of the title, but the same author wrote this, kind of historical, and it was about a British ship, man of war, that was searching down a Spanish treasure galleon, right? So it kind of, I didn't even know it was going to be related to it. It kind of was. I just saw the ship on the front, thought that looked cool, figured the ship was opposite the desert, so that's what I picked it up for. But there is a lot of, there's a couple sections where the ships are trying to signal each other, and they're actually using, a semaphore. They're using the flags, and at that point, I think each country had their own set. I don't think there was like a universal set, but like ship A knew what the colors and positions of the flag meant that ship B was sending, right? So it's interesting to see that language right there. And I'll admit, even though I think my vocabulary is kind of decent, when I first came across that word semaphore, I was like, what does that mean again? So that's. But anytime we're looking for something like codes or hidden or ciphers or encryptions, right? We kind of want to focus on it. So seeing that right there, I know a lot of people are thinking, okay, well, how can we find flags? And maybe it's not that literal. Like you're looking for common, American or British or Spanish semaphore symbols, but maybe just the concept of flags or rectangular shapes, something like that. I don't know. It's just something I caught that I thought I should say. You, Rob. Okay, so if that ever happens, you'll know that like Froggy's like my household is in disarray and like I'm really strapped for cash. That'd be like the last thing. Yeah, it's not a daily word use. Had to look it up, right? And Mr. Underhill, yeah, there was I did think about that. In the book, Justin is looking for a particular set or formation of these cactuses that might symbol something. And so, I did take a few pictures. I looked out of the vast landscape that was covered with them, and I'm like, that would be pretty tough to find. Although there was a few unique cactuses, right? So, a few of them had the arms growing out at crazy angles. Every once in a while, you'd find one that's like super, super tall. Shoot, I'm late. Start over. Okay, all right. So, start. Hey, my name's Froggy. Nah, just trolling. All right. So, we're barely through the first page of the sleep study, Montana. We're talking about the sleep study. All right, Rip Van Winkle, that was something early on that I thought, okay, well, let me look up all the fairy tales, because my idea of what lives in time was like, well, oral tradition, fairy tales. So, Rip Van Winkle, and I was looking at New Mexico, tied on, Pecos River. He's like the New Mexico version of Johnny Appleseed or Paul Bunyan we have on the East Coast, right? So, I kind of thought about that for a little while. Let's see. So it goes on 26 hours. So there's so many unique numbers in the book. Lately we've been talking about 17, 27, 42. So anytime, since time is a something in the poem, right? Time is referenced. So anytime 26 hours just vanished, maybe that's a significant part, right? So here's some, I use this next line, on top of page 160 if you have the hardback. He's talking about the red light. 1 hour later, I came to, still at that red light, my foot maintaining its loyal vigil on the brake like a steadfast sentry. So that's two words in my mind. Here's why I thought it was significant. That's two kind of guard words, right? If you look up synonyms for guard, you might find sentry on there. And so using that twice in one sentence, I was like, okay, maybe this is something, right? Because the guard is from the poem, right? We're looking for, let me read it out here. Guarding the ancient gates, right? His bride stands guard at ancient gates, followed up by a next stanza, wonder guards the sacred space. So I'm still on the whole train that like if something's double, if something's repeated, it's significant. So we have to look into it. So now I'm looking for anything in the book that that's guard or has to do with guarding. And to see both of those in one sentence, I mean, really, Justin's life is being guarded. When you're at a stop sign, a red light, if he would have rolled past that, that's his life. It's in danger. So what higher stakes than guarding your life? And so we have something right here. My foot maintains its loyal vigil on the brake like a steadfast sentry. And so what is doing the guarding? It's his foot. And now we have foot, which is foot of 3. So this played into my last solve, and I stuck around. What we got here? The chat's going off. Take my money. Take my money, Rose. Hilarious. Like this video, y'all. Like or else. Well, I just want to take my life back. Like, twins. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, twins. All right. So, going back to, yeah. I still think that sentence is really important. And, what do we get from it, all right? So a lot of people say, I think this is important. I like to try to take the next step and say, this is important. Why? All right. So this sentence right here, once again, I'll read it out. As I approached a desolate traffic light on Tucson's outskirts, right? Desolate, desert, bare environment. I remember one blink, just one, before consciousness fled. An hour later, I came to, still at that red light. My foot, again, the foot is the one that's doing the guarding, maintaining its loyal vigil on the brake like a steadfast sentry. How it managed such devotion while the rest of me melted into oblivion remains one of life's sweet mysteries. And what are we doing here if not trying to uncover the mystery, right? So to me, that whole little passage is very, very significant. Sometimes I feel like I have an idea of what it means or how we should apply it. Sometimes I don't, but I just want to point that out to you. All right, so here we go. He's still discussing how, he's dealing with life with this whole sleep issue, right? So there's no problem with, there is a problem with school, right? He's just, once it starts affecting your driving, that's pretty serious, man. I would get that looked at as soon as possible. Then we talk about, Jenny wrestling with her own nightly demons, right? Or snoring, which was funny to hear, Sturm type that in one of the exchanges with Justin about, what to do about a wife that snores. My wife doesn't have that problem. She doesn't snore. I'm the big snorer. So she's probably looking out for cures right now. Hopefully cures that don't involve a pillow over the face. All right, then we have a time. Okay, so this is good right here. Normally, not normally, but a lot of times in the book when we have a timeline, it's in the beginning of the story. This one, because the time is hidden a little bit, like on the second page or about 7 or 8 paragraphs down. I feel like maybe that's even more like a little cherry or a little nugget. It's even harder. But I do believe putting together a timeline of the stories in this book is helpful. Maybe not, it's going to unlock something grand, but a lot of Justin's words and hints and tips come in the form of context. So for us, I feel like having context for the stories is really important. And so here we have a time right here, leading her to seek wisdom from a sleep specialist in June of 2014. All right, and so he accompanies her, right? So then we have another mirror mention, right? We have bottom 160, the amenities of one-way mirror for the voyeuristic pleasure of some grad student, I imagined, right? Anytime mirror or reflection is in, I don't hold it at the same high level as like sentry and guarding, because really the main mirror line in the poem for me is return her face, right? You're looking into something and seeing a return. I don't really see, you can make mirror work if you're trying to force it for, clear and bright. Maybe something's clear. But that's really the only, and then toward the end, what you seek, you already know. If you've already looked at something, you know what it looks like. So maybe that could be, I stopped at Buc-ee's on the way and I got some candied nuts. So I got a little bit of a pecan or something stuck in the throat. All right. But yeah, so mirror is again, not as weighted as high, but I do look into it. Multiple sleep latency test, right? So we have in here, mastery of sleeping. I almost forgot. This maybe reminded me. Back to the semaphore. There is a way that semaphore applies to computer science. This is something new that I learned just like a couple hours ago when I was prepping for this. So, and it's really technical. So I'm hesitant on how valuable it is. But if you look up semaphore and if you look up computer science semaphore, there's a way that when they're coding, they have elements, I guess, that track the state, because it's a lot of coding is in a binary format, right? So I'm probably butchering this explanation. If this is something you're interested in, I recommend you get it from Google or from another source other than me. But just know that there is something to semaphore in computer science. There's a form of coding or a technique that uses semaphores as like flags to keep track of things in their state, like an on-off state or like a 1-0 state, right? So it's a little bit complicated. And again, I don't think it would apply. If it is something, it should be the technical clue because it's pretty technical. But if you want to look into that, that's just something there. Again, we have Christmas tree. That would make Christmas tree blush, right? So again, there seems to be some kind of, maybe not theme, but a reoccurring Christmas element, right? I still like Ponderosa Pines. Having been on a location where you started out surrounded by the Ponderosa Pines and the smell, it just for someone that's concerned with smell, it just seemed like I just can't get that scene where Justin again is in his 27-foot right airstream. He talks about the pine smell coming in. He just seemed to really not too many of his descriptive sentences in the book like tell you what the atmosphere is like. Like a lot of his descriptions are coming more from a technical aspect. Like, okay, this is what I'm doing. This is what it looked like. This is what was here. But in a few scenes, when he's being descriptive, he says, "This is what the atmosphere was like. This is the weather. This is the sounds I heard. This is the smells I smelled." And those I think are really important because smell is strongly tied to memory. One of the things that I tried to do while hiking was use all my senses. It encouraged me to take breaks, but always because, if you're huffing and puffing, you can't really hear that well. So I went at a slow pace to make sure I could hear the sounds. Often I heard a babbling brook. Often I heard the sounds of birds chirping. Often I heard woodpeckers. Often, I was really listening for snakes because my dad has a little bit of a hearing issue. So I was like, well, if someone's going to hear it, it's going to be me because, yeah, he has some ear damage from his time in the Navy. But so I was listening for two people. But it was also, it plugged me more into the hunt and it plugged me more into the location. And I really feel like the place Justin is gonna pick not only is going to be a visual beauty, but I think the sounds and the smells will add to the beauty. If that makes any sense. Yeah, just my own thoughts here from what I think that I'm getting from the book. Okay, so here we go. So Justin is, he's uncomfortable. He's talking about, all these wires attached to him, right? It's always fun if you've ever done a sleep study. I've never been, but I've accompanied people. Okay, we're gonna monitor how you sleep. Let's plug you in the most uncomfortable position. Okay, now go ahead and go to sleep, and we're gonna be watching you, right? So it's kind of like just a whole weird experience. This is one of the funnier references, right? A lot of his media references. I wouldn't say you need pop culture knowledge to solve this. I wouldn't say that, but so a lot of his references are books or movies that treasure hunting related. Well, this is a Deuce Bigelow, so if you want a break from all the treasure content and you want to watch a funny video but still work on something related to the hunt, Deuce Bigelow, the first one, not the second one, is mentioned in the book, right? And he even calls it a cinematic masterpiece. So I can picture him chuckling along. All right, let's scroll back up. What did I miss here? How's your day? My day's pretty good. Lewis Daniel, when I see that name, reminds me of I saw an ad for a new Daniel Day-Lewis movie coming out soon. It looks pretty good. I like him as an actor. Girl or boy? Me? I'm a dude. Can you shadow box? I'm really slow, man. You don't want to see my hands move. It's I'm not fast with the hands. Rob, put your leg back up. Never. Bro's really passionate. So this is a treasure hunt, national treasure hunt. It's a book out there called Beyond the Map's Edge. If you want to play for free, you don't have to get the book. You can be a poem purist, right? We all love those. Go to the website, www.treasure.quest. Type that in, and you'll have the website. There's a poem, there's a map. It's pretty fun to play along. So even if you don't have the book, if you're not really interested in treasure hunting, if you don't like money, if you don't like gold, then But if you do like those things, check out that website, www.treasure.quest. All right, hungry, mag all year, revoke. You lost. I missed. How hot was it when you were hiking? Oh, so great day. And again, this is why that I felt so confident that we can do it. I wouldn't put my father in that kind of extreme situation. It was high 80s. It didn't hit 90. And with humidity kind of in a more moderate level, and we were at elevation, so that helped also. We were like around, I don't know, 5 to 6,000 feet. Was where we were at. We did a couple of trips brushing the 7,000s because I thought that was kind of where it might be, but it wasn't. But yeah, so it was like miracle perfect weather in Arizona for August because normally that's a pretty rough month to be out there. Yep, like a good dog, right? Hey, like Tucker. Yeah, there you go. These people still holds up. Don't mind that for all years and no more. That's getting hot. Yeah. And a lot of people think that June or July are the hottest months. Apparently, historically, August and September can be pretty rough in Arizona. I don't know Chinese, so I apologize if you're asking a hunt-related question. I think that's Chinese or Korean, maybe Chinese, but I'm lost. And there's not a translate button, so I don't know. All right. Okay, so we got Deuce Bigalow, right? Then we have the game of charades. So here we go. Textbook narcolepsy. This is where Justin figures out that he has narcolepsy, which, if he still suffers from it, which it kind of seems like he might, that might work to our favor because he's in Discord at like 1 or 2 in the morning, and all right, and he pops in. But so this is a big one right here, right? My father, this is the bottom of 161. My father, this is a direct quote. My father, whose strength I'd always counted as constant as the North Star, had succumbed to his battle with brain cancer. All right, so this is I have a tough time with this one because, one, anytime there's a death in the book, I kind of want to treat it with reverence and respect, and so I don't want to really look in that area for clues. But at the same time, he puts it in there and he uses the language North Star, right? He knows that we're going to be in on that because of the poem, right? Because of Polaris, because of wisdom, Ursa, all that language. So I think it's fair game. As far as context goes, for me, his father is a little bit more mysterious than his grandfather and his brother and Tucker. So, and the reason why I use those four, because those are the four he says the book's dedicated to, right? And so for me, I feel like I got a good read on what Justin wants us to know about the grandfather. I think I got a good read on what Justin wants us to know about Brandon. I think I got a good read on what Justin wants us to know about Tucker. Not saying that I understand those people in real life, or what Justin's trying to communicate. I feel like I have a good read. But with his father, he still has a little bit of a question mark for me. And maybe that's significant. Maybe I'm having trouble comprehending it. But I feel like Justin wants us to know something. There's something he's trying to communicate about the father, about their relationship. And there's just more to be mined that I haven't gotten to yet. And so sentences like that, where he says, my father, whose strength I'd always counted as constant as a North Star, had succumbed to his battle with brain cancer, right? And then again, we have the very next sentence. So it's a new paragraph, it's a new thought. And he talks about a thread, a reminder of time's relentless passage, right? And so in an echo, right? My last solve had a place called Echo Peak that was in the middle of a basin that tourists come and you yell out and you can hear the reflection of, right? I think echo is significant, but whether echo is just, again, a reminder to double down, repeat, reflection, maybe echo is just another reminder of that, or maybe there is something that's a physical echo or a sound echo, like in a canyon where there's echoes a lot. Maybe that plays in. I haven't figured that out yet, but that's just something to think about, right? Maybe the final spot is in a canyon because echoes are repeated throughout the book. If you have an ebook and you search echo, you get a lot of good stuff. Useful because uncomfortable could work. Yeah, again, hide and seek. What's up, Indy? How you doing? It's the focus of the 4 points, but it's buried between the lines of the stories. Yep, and that's what he says, right? Buried between lines. Okay, so we're coming to the end, right here. So we got the father's laugh, right? The irretrievable Sundays. Again, when you talk about time that's lost, we started out the book with 26 lost hours. So now we're continuing that thread, right? With Sundays that are gone, irretrievable. I'm sorry, Saturdays. I misspoke. Saturdays that are irretrievable, which again directly contrasts what the poem says about what lives in time. So I would say if something is irretrievable, like it can't be gotten back, I would say that does not live in time. I don't know, and some people have different takes on it. Because people say, well, okay, maybe you can't get it, but it still lives in time. I don't know. It's just something to think about, right? Stolen moments at red lights. And again, the stolen moments at red lights, in the big picture of this story, I mean, you have, your father's passing, you have, your wife's struggle with sleep, you have their concern with your own life and you're struggling with sleep. I don't know if the stolen moments at a red light, well, I guess, okay, maybe that's like an eye-opening statement. I guess if I were to go home and tell my wife, hey, I passed out at a red light for about, an hour or whatever, a couple of moments, she'd probably be really concerned and would freak out. So, okay, I can see how that fits in there. Life with its merciless ticks and talk, right? What does tick and talk? A clock, right? So a lot of people, focusing on that part right there. And then here we go, furthering down, not the end of my story, but a turning point. So some people say, okay, if you divide the book into half, this story right here is kind of a little bit more toward the end. So maybe, if you look at a book and it has 100 pages, half is 50, right? That's easy math to do. This book has 230, 220. And so half is 110, and this is 162 in the hardback. In the ebook, all these numbers will vary. But the story, I think it makes sense to me to have a halfway story that's more than halfway, right? So because so I don't know. I think this is a new thought I'm working on, that we treat the material before this story different than what's after. I think it's a shift. Again, this is new. It's not all worked out, but the father passing, the strength passing, is a marker that shifts, like a video game, onto the next stage. Maybe it's just I don't know. It's an early thought of something I'm working with. Here we go. What do we do here? This is a book club, a treasure. Kit Kat, what's going on, Kit Kat? This is a book club. You can join for free at www.treasure.quest. If anyone is really cool, you can type that in there and help out Kit Kat. But if you do like to play along, if you want some gold, if you want some money, there's a really sweet dude named Justin M. Posey that hid some wealth out there in the American West for somewhere. So if you're not an American, it'll be tough. But hey, if you figure it out, you can fly over here and get it. But that's what we're just talking about, clues. I'm just giving my thoughts on one of the stories in the book. Each time he mentions the North Star, one of the each person had target for fan. London, hey, your name is cool, London Giselle. It's like different from everybody else. I don't know how you did that. Hi, what's going on? Need to rewind. Which person wears the Yeah, and that is, and maybe that's the way it works. Sneaky. Maybe you have to. Maybe you don't. I don't know. The way I did my last solve is I just did the solve, and at the end I attributed directions. I was looking at. I don't know if you've heard this before, Sneaky. Looking in the words in the poem. So, for example, second stanza, you have walk near waters. I saw that double W's right there as a west. The next stanza, you have in Ursa east. That's an obvious one. That's east. Next stanza after that, you have secrets, and then followed by sacred space, that nice double S together. So I think that is south. And then there's the not in is a double N. So that's north. So that's how I kind of use that. I've done different solves where they're northeast, southwest is all switched up. One thing I do like about it is if I were to ask you, hey, what are the cardinal directions? Most people put them in one of two orders: north, south, east, west, or they'll say north, east, southwest. Those are the most common orders that people say them in. The order I just described is not in that order, which I think maybe is significant. Who knows? All right, we're coming to the end here. I've been going for almost 50 minutes. Booty hurts. Scorpio, rough night, huh? All right. Reading the book, also read the book. Yeah, it does. It does. It really does. On the drive back from North Carolina, which will be exciting. I think Emma and Jam have a really fun show planned that's gonna go over a lot of the stuff that happened there. Okay, coming up to the end, the last little bit. Twilight's embers fade to ash. You know, a lot of people talk about. Not only do you need to find the right spot, but you need to be at the right spot at the right time. And here's an evidence of the transition for when the sun's coming up or when the sun's going down. So either a dawn or a dusk, which again, the double D's are alliteration. Maybe those are the time you need to be there. I'm not fully subscribed to that yet. I think it's hard enough to find the right spot. So it'd be even more hard or more cruel to find the right spot and the right time. I just think you need the right spot and it'll be fine. But if you are a proponent of the right time, then you want to notice any time that's mentioned. And something like twilight embers fade to ash is very romantic and poetic and a great way to focus in on it. All right. It's very interesting. Again, one of the last things we're going to cover is the Lost Saturdays. So on the page before, we have the echo of my father's laugh, irretrievable Saturdays, and stolen moments at red lights. Threes. I'm going to do a whole nother video on just the threes because there's so many of them, right? That's the three right there. And the next page we have Lost Saturdays, Red Light Reveries, and Classroom Surrenders to Slumber. Again, another three. The Saturday and the red light are the same, but the classroom is different. So I think that's pretty important. I have a whole list of things, of threes and triples and trinities in the book that I'm going to share with you guys coming up here pretty soon. At the very end, we have, can't forget about constellation, right? The stars, like starlight through our fingers into the infinite night. And that's how that very impactful, momentous story ends, with a shout out to the stars. Again, very could be symbolic, someone passing, so you look up to the stars, where you hope to, allegory of heaven and everything up there. So I don't know. That was kind of a lot. I'm talking a little bit faster because my phone's not fully charged and the batteries is just getting drained super fast. But any last thoughts? Let's see what we got in the chat here. Yeah, again, I do recommend buying the audiobook. Be forewarned though, unless something's changed in the last month, the audiobook, no, yeah, there's still a few errors that haven't been changed there in the audiobook. No problem, Rose. Hey, thanks for watching. All right, 42 people. I guess in the final moments here, if you don't have a nice Froggy cup, you can get them right there in the description of all my videos. There's a little link to some merch. If you want some Froggy merch, we've got some t-shirts up. We've got some cups up. More mods. Yeah, I know. I gotta get some mods. I don't know. It's just modding clashes with my innate. For somebody who like was in the military and very disciplined, I guess when I got out, I have the rebellious streak that I kept. I grew up in a disciplined household, right? I went to a private school, and then I went to the military. So it was like 20 something years, 30 years of my life, very, very disciplined. And so now that that's gone, I kind of revel in the freedom, and I'm really hesitant to put boundaries on that. But again, there is, when people get out of line, when people cuss or bring up racial stuff or sexually inappropriate things, I want to stay family friendly. I want, young people to interact. And if that stuff's going on in the chat, that's not a good environment. Okay, tank tops. Hey, no. Okay, I can do that. I can work on that this week. Some of the ladies, they wanted like a racerback, and so I had to learn what that was. But I got racerbacks out, the nice one. But for dudes, yeah, I can do a tank top, black with frog collar. Yeah, let me work on that this week. Are you the real frogman? I don't know if there's a frogman. I don't know. Pollywog. Thanks, Rob. I appreciate it. Yeah. All right, guys. Hey, Mushi. Yeah, great. Thanks. Anybody who'd gotten them, I wanted them to chime in, but I'm glad that she likes the Racerbank tank. So I'll work on a tank for the fellas, for the dudes, so you guys can go suns out, guns out for the rest. But when you're hiking, cover up, right? When you're hiking, cover up from the sun. All right, guys. I'll see you in Discord. See you in chat. Enjoy your holiday. Talk to you guys later. Bye.